Hey guys, welcome back to LegitStreetCars and welcome to another SVT Lightning video. This one is definitely way long overdue. So to start, let me get everybody up to speed.
Last year, I bought a 2002 SVT Lightning, and shortly after, I found out it had blown head gaskets. At first, the only symptom was the truck had coolant coming out of the overflow only when you went wide open throttle. The cooling system was being pressurized under boost, and it failed the exhaust gas combustion test. I put about 3,000 miles on the truck like this, and as long as I didn't get into boost, everything was fine until this happened.
All right guys, this might be it for the Lightning. I towed the Trans Am last week. Everything was perfect. It didn't overheat, nothing. I put the car away for the weekend and then fired it back up today, started driving to work, and it's overheating and leaking coolant everywhere. I pulled off the highway into a Holiday Inn Express parking lot. Luckily, I had this empty jug in the back of the truck. So I got some water. I'm gonna try and limp it back to the shop. Now, before it would only spew coolant out of the reservoir under boost. I've put like 3,000 normal miles on this truck without any issues, but now I'm not getting into any boost and it is spewing coolant and water everywhere. Not good. Let's see. Yep, no pressure whatsoever in the hose. I have 13 miles to get to the shop. It took the entire thing. I'm gonna go ask for another one before we hit the road in case it starts to overheat again, which it probably will. All right, let's see where we're at. Pretty cool right now, right in the middle, filled up with water. I'll use my T if I have to. We got 13 miles to go. Let's do this. So obviously it's good to pay attention to your coolant gauge, and that'll tell you if you're overheating. But for me, it's so cold outside that as soon as the heat quit, I knew something was up. I looked over and it started creeping past the middle mark, so pulled over, shut it down. The engine runs beautifully. It doesn't blow any smoke out of the tailpipe. In this situation, it's just pressurizing the coolant system. All right, we have 8 miles to go. I'm hopping back on the highway, and I think this is where we ran into the issue. I'm not really getting into any boost, but if you look at that gauge, if I just give it a little throttle and we just get close to getting out of vacuum, I think that might be doing it. So I gotta remember that. I just wanna stay as far into vacuum as possible, and the check engine light was from a couple of days ago. It'll set that light and go into an overheat protection type of mode where you have no power. So I already know what that code's gonna be, but the thing runs beautifully still, and we're almost at 85,000 miles. All right, well, I made it back to legit street quarters, and the Lightning did not overheat again. So I was on pins and needles the entire ride, but the engine sounds great. It doesn't actually blow any smoke out of the tailpipe, but clearly it's eating coolant. Clearly the head gaskets have totally failed at this point. And yeah, it was probably because I towed the LT1 Trans Am a little while back. But the entire time I was towing that car, we had no issues at all. I drove it for a couple of days after that, no issues. And then it just kind of popped up. I let it sit for a few days, hopped in it, and this is what started to happen. So yeah, towing the Trans Am was probably the final nail in the coffin for these head gaskets, but that's okay because I was gonna replace them anyway. So after making it back here to legit street quarters, I gave the truck a much needed bath to wash off all of the salt, and now it's time to get to work. We have to remove this plastic cover right here, and that's just a few clicks. Very easy. All right, then we have to remove the air intake system because that's gonna get in the way when we lift the cab up. Easy enough. Then we're gonna disconnect the throttle linkage. And we're just gonna go ahead and remove this entire bracket. Just a few 10 mils. And now this will stay with the cab. Stay there, good buddy. All right, so we already have the negative terminal disconnected. And we need to do the positive as well. And I think this is gonna stay, I don't know where this is gonna stay. I had to do some more digging. All right, then it looks like this harness is gonna stay with this one. And anytime we can put nuts back where they go, I like to do that because we're gonna have a lot to remember once we tear this engine down. I don't think we need to do this, but I'm gonna remove the battery. There we go. This entire harness right here, that will feed down. Gotta remember it goes behind this AC line. These are the things we're not gonna remember because we'll be putting this back together way later. And that's why I like making videos. There we go. Just like the harness, you want to be on the right side of the AC line. You know, like the right side and the wrong side of history, AC line joke. All right. Okay, so this looks like a big junction block, and this separates the engine harness side to the body harness. So we just have to disconnect all these gigantic connectors here. We lost something there, but we will find it. All right, here we go. Looks like at this point we have our entire engine harness all tucked in, just like that. And then we have a vacuum line that comes with it too. At the junkyard, they would just saw all this off. Oh, and don't forget this ground. I'll put that right back. Okay, someone put a sub in this and then removed it. So there's our sub fuse that can stay with the cab. We just want this booster hose, so that'll stay with the motor. So I'm gonna replace the belts as well, and it's gonna be a lot easier to do that if we can get this fan out of here. Is that reverse thread? It's found a really good video on YouTube. I'm just gonna jam a screwdriver in and jam a screwdriver. And okay, nope, regular thread. Just loosened right up. All right, cool. That's all we gotta do. YouTube, people, it's a wonderful thing. The handsome guy from the YouTube video said to just jam a screwdriver in, and whoever put this on last time was really strong. Oh, this is nuts. There's no way I tightened it that much. This is crazy. There we go. Did I get it? All right, broke free. Man, I was strong in that last video. I can't figure out how to do anything. This looks so easy in the video. They make it look so easy. There we go. At this point, we're gonna drain some coolant. And if you guys were around for the flush video, then here you go. That's what it looks like after all those flushes. Not horrible. Got definitely a lot better than before. It was pretty much all rust. Here, this is what it looked like when we got it out. We probably ran a total of 20 gallons of water and cleaners through it, and it was just all rusty. But yeah, this is looking pretty normal. All right, this is gonna take forever. I'm gonna pull the plug, probably make a mess. Here we go. Not too bad. And it's draining out real slow. I wonder if there's something clogged up in there. All right, guys, we got the belt off the AC compressor. I have the other two bolts loose. This one as well. And right now we are detaching the AC compressor from the engine. We're gonna try and leave this with the cab. We're gonna go ahead and take the fan shroud out as well. It's just a couple of 8mm. There we go. All right, so at this point, we're gonna pull this AC compressor forward so it's out of the way when we pull the cab up. Otherwise the motor will get in the way. And this thing had ice cold AC, so there's no reason to open the system and lose all of our refrigerant. There go, some bolts. We have an intercooler hose in the way of moving that alternator, so we gotta drain the system anyway. And I'm gonna save this coolant. Okay, so now we can pull this hose here. All right, and there we have it, an AC compressor that is staying with the cab. All right, I've decided I'm gonna replace this radiator too. So we're gonna go ahead and remove the transcooler lines. This thing had so much of that nasty rusted coolant that if we're gonna go through this motor, it's gonna get a new one in. I'll probably do the water pump as well. All right, here we go. Gotta take this lower radiator hose off. There we go. Nice and pretty. And then just a couple of 10s. Goodbye, radiator. Thank you. You've served the Lightning well. All right, guys, we're almost there. We keep on forgetting stuff. We have to take these coolers down in this pump. And I'm sure once we start raising the cab, we'll have forgotten something as well. So these are bolted to what looks like would be part of the frame, but it's actually the cab. So at first glance, I'm like, oh, that's just gonna come with the frame, and that's not the case. All right, so here is our external transmission cooler. So this one has an internal cooler in the radiator and an air-to-air external. All right, we just gotta pop off this shifter now. Just gotta pry here, and it should pop right off. There we go. All right, then we just have to do this end of the shifter cable. A couple of clips. There we go. All right, so right now we're removing the steering linkage and then some body bolts, and then the cab should come up, I think. We'll probably run into some snags. I thought The cab would have already been off by now, but yeah, not bad. All right, so we have the steering wheel locked in the truck, and this will only go on one way since there's a flat spot here at the bottom, so we don't have to worry about too much here. All right, we're gonna disconnect the parking brake. There we go. And then here is probably the easiest disconnection point, I would say. Okay. All right, guys, we're at the cab bolts. We're almost there. These guys are big. I've been soaking these in penetrating oil for days. Let's see. Okay. That bolt is not coming. We need fire. All right, here we go. All right, guys, we've got this thing pretty hot. And now it's time for some water. And we broke it. All right, we broke it. That's okay. Luckily, it's just a big bolt going through with a nut, so no big deal. This truck isn't even rusted, but water and stuff just gets captured inside of this little cup, and that's all she wrote. We got this one heated up too, and we can get the impact on the nut side. Let's see what happens. Hey, that might work. Only have to buy one new bolt. I'll probably just replace them both. It's never a bad idea to get new subframe bolts in. We used to do this at Mercedes all the time. They would actually get weaker from corrosion. There was a recall. We had to replace a bunch of bolts in the subframe, so it's in the subframe, but same idea. Get no traction, just like this truck. I gotta push it back so we can get the lift arms underneath the cab. All right, now we just have 4 body bolts. And I think one of them in the front is here. Yep. Look at this little guy. It snapped. No biggie, we'll get another one. All right, last body bolt. Can't get it with the gun. And luckily it's not that frozen. Oh wait, spoke too soon. That's brutal. Just brake if you're gonna brake. As soon as we shocked it with the water, I could feel it get really loose, so it's a cool trick if you have a bolt that's stuck. Although we didn't have that success with all of them, so 2 broken bolts, no big deal. Yes, looking good. So yeah, with that, let's do this. All right, guys, moment of truth, here we go. Rise up, Lightning cab. All right, hang on. We gotta always look. Don't want to pull anything. We forgot something. That harness right there. This ABS pump is staying with the frame. The harness doesn't want to go with it. It wants to stay with the body. And then I can already tell right here, we gotta disconnect these guys. Okay, there's one. Okay, all right. So is that 3 things? Yeah, that's 3 things already. All right, take 2. What do we got? Getting too old for this. Getting too old. Not really. I think I got another 30 years in me working on cars. Forever young. Forever young. Yeah, let's do this. Okay. What was that? Whatever it was broke free, but I kind of just want to know what it is for our way back. That little pop right there was the steering shaft. It was just getting bound up in between right here. So it's all good. We kind of got it out of the way now. So now we should be good. Bye-bye, engine. Keep going. Go ahead. I'm watching the steering shaft right now, but we should be good. Should be good. Yep, made it over. Look at that. All right, let's go. Oh. SVT Lightning motor. Look at this room. This is beautiful. This is the way to work on an engine. Look at all this room. I'll be able to show you guys everything in detail as well. And yeah, these heads are just super crammed in there. I saw one video where the guy did the heads without taking the cab off, and it just looks horrible. Absolutely horrible. Just little stuff like this. When we go to take this EGR pipe off, You got to get that off. Even to get the valve cover off, it looks like this is going to be frozen. Now we have all this room to break it free, and there's going to be a lot of while you're in there's. That is for sure. A lot of stuff going on here too. Speaking of while you're in there, I should probably just put a fuel pump in this thing now. We have easy access. Look at all this. It's going to be very tempting not to just want to clean everything and coat everything. This is just surface rust. This thing's in great shape. Got some Flowmasters. Not the prettiest. I wasn't really planning on going too crazy with the mods, but how do I put this back together with these exhaust manifolds? How? I'm kind of thinking headers, ported blower, and maybe that's it. I don't know. We'll see when we get the heads off. I might send those out and get them ported and polished if that really gives us any gains. Let me know, Ford guys down below, is it a big deal to port these heads or should I skip it? All right, we got to get started tearing this engine down, and I'm really curious as to how many studs we break off here. So let's just spray everything down. And then we're gonna pull a spark plug because the big issue with these is they only had 4 spark plug threads in the head. So then the plugs would actually pop out. And then in 2003, they upgraded it to 8 threads. And these heads, look at the heads. I mean, maybe Ford guys can tell by these numbers right here or whatever, but they look kind of shiny and nice. I know they're aluminum heads and they don't really get too dirty, but I wonder if something's been done here before. You can see the date code here for the valve covers original. But I'm really curious to see if we have those 8 threads in this cylinder head. All right, guys, here we go. Nice. So far, so good. That is not broken. All right, so here, let's just go down the line here. Nice. Nice. Oh, yeah. We're good. All right. Well, at least with the 4 on the top. Oh, that one's kind of loose, actually. It's weird. Golden. Like butter. I don't actually say like butter like that. It's a throwback to Saturday Night Live. You guys know what I'm talking about? Comment down below. Last one on this side. Nice. We're good. These I don't care if they break because we're putting some nice shiny long tube headers on here anyway. So if you guys have a suggestion on long tubes for the Lightning, also let me know down below. There we go. The fact that these are coming off so nicely, so obviously we have bad head gaskets and that's why we're doing all of this, but it looks like there was an external leak right here too. It's totally clean up here. And then it's wet right here on the block seeping down. So we'll be inadvertently fixing an external head gasket leak because that's what that looks like. All right, that was the easy side. We have a gigantic EGR tube here. Oh, come on now. Okay. That would have been a fun little fall right there. Definitely part of a blooper reel for you guys. We got it though. Cool. Something else that would be very difficult to do if you didn't have the engine down here with the frame, because the cab gets in the way of everything. All right. I got no broken studs on this either. None of the studs even came out. Wow, these are so restrictive. Look at this. It's just exhaust comes out, just bam, hits a wall. That little square section right there is a die date stamp, and that is an 03, which could indicate 2003. The only thing that's sort of weird about that would be that that would mean this head failed pretty much right after the truck was put out, like a year, maybe a year and a half later, and they replaced the heads under warranty in 2003. I don't know. Check it out. The Lightning was built in December of 2001, so it really wouldn't make any sense whatsoever for it to have a 2003 head from the factory. All right, doing the spark plugs on these is actually kind of horrible when you have the engine in. If you guys were around 1 or 2 Lightning videos ago, you know I replaced like 1 spark plug because it had a dead misfire, and that fixed it. And I didn't do the other plugs, obviously, because I knew I was going to be removing the engine. Something else I said I was going to do was tighten up the head bolts to see if that fixed the issue, but there was just too much work to get the valve covers off for something that probably wouldn't fix the issue. It was just going to be like a legit street experiment. And then I was thinking about running a head gasket sealer in here. I had mentioned that, and everybody lost their mind. Guys, I was always going to replace the head gaskets no matter what. I only wanted to experiment with a sealer just to see what it looked like, if it worked, especially once we get the head gaskets off. But I kind of decided against it. I didn't want to clog up anything else in the system or run into any issues at all. I want to get this project in and out. So anyway, That feels like 4 threads to me. Yeah, is this the new one I put in? I think so. The other ones were horrible. Okay, so we're going in with the borescope. And how many threads does that look like? Oh, I got some coolant in there. Hello. All right. Look at that. Awesome. We already knew we had a blown head gasket. I just want to know how many threads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 threads? It's either 4 or 8. I'm going to say this top one I'm counting is probably not a thread. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 threads. What in the world? All right, so we're on the driver's side right now. This is the side that I could see the 0-3. That's great. Man, could they put more stuff in the way of doing the spark plugs? Okay, getting there. One step at a time. Ooh, that one's really bad. Look at how wet that is. All right, so I'm here to count spark plug threads, but I'm also here to see the nastiness of this blown head gasket. This looks pretty cool. It's like an alien planet that we're on. What do we got? Oh, there's some coolant. You can kind of see some puddling. It's hard to turn this little borescope, but you can see some right there at the bottom of the screen. There's a little puddle. It's hard for me to turn the camera. Yeah, anyway, you get the idea. Blown head gaskets. How many threads? Does this look like more threads than before? It's so hard to tell with all the crud on there. I mean, it definitely looks like more than 4. Did they replace one head on this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Was this one done? I don't know. Let me know in the comments, guys. This definitely looks like it has more threads than the other one, but it's hard to tell. All right, so we might have one new head. That's the one that is stamped 03. And the other one, it's hard to tell what it's stamped with, what number. It's all kind of weird looking. But that one looked like a 4 thread. This one looks like an 8 thread. I don't know, but we're going to find out in the next episode for sure, because we're going to be removing these heads, seeing where the head gasket failed, seeing what we can see inside of the motor. Something else I want to determine after I get the heads off is, do I need to send this engine in for at the very least a cleaning? I don't suspect any issue with the bottom end at all. This thing had all of its power. It never smoked, nothing, even with bad head gaskets. And the oil looks good and all of that stuff. But I am worried about the amount of rust that we had in the cooling system a few videos ago. If that has just embedded itself in the block and is going to continue to be an issue, I might want to do something about that while we have it all apart. So anyway, that is all for the next episode. I hope you guys really enjoyed this one. If you did, don't forget, give this video a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, subscribe if you're new, and most importantly, have an awesome day. I'll catch all of you in the next video.